Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to our enterprise talk. And today's talk is about the robotic process automation in the real world, driving marketing, analytics, and customer service productivity. And this enterprise talk is brought to you by Prasetia Dwidharma Group and our partners, Phoebe Cloud and Synchro. And this webinar series is suitable for you if you are considering taking a leap in digitizing your business and making serious efforts to build your digital infrastructure. We will divide this webinar series per week every Wednesday afternoon, talking about IoTs, communication solution, business operation tools, and cyber security. We'll be sharing with you the updated technology in the industry to help you build your data-driven business. So a bit of Prasetia Dwidharma. We were founded in 2008. Since then, we have grown to become a major player in the industry. Currently, we have 3 divisions under our company: telecommunication, and infrastructure, ICT, and call center business process outsourcing. And a bit of our partners today: Phoebe Cloud. It started in 2014. Phoebe Cloud has a commitment to focus and provide end-to-end solutions for our customers to achieve their cloud economics journey. And Synchro, it's data consolidation, data distribution, and hold on. And any data to any target. So let's welcome our speaker today, Ola.
Thank you, Ardi, and hello everybody.
Please introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Ola Lind, and I am Director of Business Development for Dotlines Group. We are a Singapore-based company or group. We have 12 different business verticals, and we span over 10 countries here in the Southeast Asia and the US and Latin America. So today, I'm actually going to talk about the real world, some case studies that we have done, and RPA, Robotic Process Automation, for making in some industries that is kind of critical sometimes to have this implemented in some part of their operations. So that's my subject for today. I'm not sure if I'm going to go ahead right now or Ardi's have more to say.
Yeah, so I think we are, without further ado, I think let's start with your a bit about your company. Maybe you can present what you have.
Sure. So why don't we talk immediately? I know I have one of my tech guys with me, and I will let him put up on the screen, if you could share with Akib. Our thing that I would like to talk about today is actually RPA. It consists of 4 different products under the same umbrella for robotic process automation. So we have seen in research organically what we have done in ourselves and in the industry, what has happened the last 2 years only, and taking some information from Deloitte, the research and accounting firm, and from NTT, what they have seen in the marketplace, and where everything is heading, not only in Indonesia, but globally. So we see a lot of what's happening is that customers like to self-care. They like to take care of their issues immediately. They do not like to wait like millenniums. It has to happen immediately. So of the data, as you can see, 73% of customers like to solve the issues on their own. Like I said, immediately. And 67% of the customers today globally owns a smartphone with different various capabilities that we're going to get into during this session, how that can be utilized without downloading an application, but still being in this media to self-care customers. And 55% of the customer would always prefer a visual guidance. What we mean with a visual guidance is, like, you know, today, TikTok and all these other media, it's about visual. It has to be short, it has to be direct, it has to give the message immediately. It's not about long sessions, it's about immediate satisfaction. So by looking at these three very important statistics, we have developed something we call the group of product services, Pulse, that consists of 4 different ones. I will start, okay, if you can go to next slide, I will show. Omnichannel, Pulse. So one is a broadcast platform, one is a chatbot platform, one is a visual IVR platform, and the last one is a referral platform. So what we mean with a broadcast platform is a way for brands, for companies to be able, in a very simple way, utilizing the technology they have and that can be utilized by the end user to engage, automate specific problems that can be in the organization. One of them, if I take one off my head, for example, a bank, finance company, or insurance company, they like to be engaged and remind the customer. And they also want to make sure that when they remind the customer that there is an option to solve, for example, if it's paying the bill, right there and then, or schedule for time settings when to pay the bills in the way the customer likes to do it. And this can be very easily done effectively through the RPA process. Second one is chatbot. Everybody is today involved in chatbots, and we see chatbot in a different way. My own experience in customer care and utilizing chatbots sometimes is not utilized for the right reasons in some areas in an operation. We look at chatbots in a way to cross-sell, upsell, and solve an issue, or engage the customer in a way not just to that we have seen in self-care issues today in customer care, is that it's put there, and in the end you're more frustrated after the session in the chatbot than you were before you engaged with the chatbot. And that's not the reason why a chatbot should be in that position where it is. And the third one is visual IVR platform. What we mean with a visual IVR is it's like a microsite of a website, but it's not a website. It's a visual guided way of solving an issue very quickly. You have it visually in front of you, and you have a guided audio that takes you through the process in a very 1, 2, 3 simple way. And here we see this in call center operations, in corporations, to solve this issue of the 80-20 rule in a call center, that 20% of all issues takes 80% of all the effort in a call center operation, for example. And many of these issues can be self-care automated in a very simple and cost-effective, but customer care excellence as well, because that's the most important. It has to be thought about in a process of where the customer comes first to solve the issue in his way and shape and form. And this, all three, can be utilized in all the touch points where a customer today is utilizing, either is in social media, through email, through text, through whatever touch point it's utilizing today, can be implemented. And the fourth one that we see today is something that is very important for many brands. It's the referral platform. And it can be utilized in many ways. It can be very effective and it can be less effective. What we have seen is that to engage really in a referral platform, you have to engage the user with full transparency, and he has control of his own communication platform to see what happens, what he's referring, is he getting rewarded, when is he rewarding, and how easily he can utilize that reward with the brand, the company, or whatever the referral program is about. Because many of the referral programs is missing out on the link that the customer or the person in charge of doing the referral doesn't have the full 360 view of what he's doing with his referral. So here we've seen in our real time, we've done this with telecoms and with other brands. We had a very interesting conversation today actually with Nespresso here in Malaysia, where this can actually be utilized in a very effective way with their brand, for example. But more about that later. Akib, please, next slide. So this is how we do it our way. So we see it in a little bit different ways. First of all, with a client, we look at, okay, where is the pain points in the operation, or where is the cost center in the operation? Specifically, for example, a call center. Call center is a cost operation in any operations. And how can we streamline, give a better care to the customer, for example, in the abundant call rates, and how to make sure that the customer can self-serve right there and then without downloading heavy applications, but a very lean, simple way of getting the business done. So we design with the customer exactly what they need for their specific purposes, what they need to solve. Then we leave it to us. We take care of the customization, the look, the design, as what the client like. And from there, we design also this, what we call on-demand web app. And I will get in a little bit more about how this works and how effective it is in a call center operation, for example. And then finally, you share this link through all the different social media touch points or any touch points of communication the company does today with their customers. So this is a very simple way, effective way, and very impact way, specifically with the visual IVR, because it's taking the existing infrastructure in a corporation, or say, for example, call center, utilizing the existing technology, just adding on, very simple with very light APIs and the PBX, to make it into a hybrid of a visual and audio impact of solving issues of self-care. And taking it from start to finish is very quick, it's very fast. We normally, depending on the clients, should not take longer than 4 to 6 weeks to be up and running. Okay, next slide. So this is how we see it. It's a dynamic web platform, what we call the visual IVR, but it's not a traditional website or a communication center, what you're utilizing for a website today. It's, if you can see in the background, you see 4 components, 4 buttons, specifically targeted for specific purposes of what the company, your company, needs to have done with the customer. In this case, for example, we see a telecom. It can be solving an issue, it can be top up, it can be changing their communication platforms, in the sense of, if it's TV channels, I want to change my TV channels program, I want to upgrade, I want to downgrade, etc., etc. Can be done immediately through this. Instead of calling the call center, you will get a guided way, talked through and visually, to do your changes. So you don't need to spend the frustration with a call center attendant most of the time, when you want to visually see what you're getting and can immediately get the confirmation right there and then. So this is a new way of actually getting digitalization utilized on any of the new phones that is out there in the marketplace, because most of them today are web ready. And it's not to download an application, it's a link that is sent, that is then clicked on and then opened up, and it becomes like an application experience by guided through in a very simple process to solve an issue. This is very important, the definition between solving an issue and having a web application. This is specifically targeted to address customer care, upsell, cross-sell, marketing, changing, and so forth, to make it for a customer to do his self-care. And it can be utilized in any of the different kind of industries: banking, insurance, e-commerce, telecom, travel, etc., etc., hospital, doctor's appointment, etc., etc. Please, next slide. Akib. So, dynamic on-demand application. It can be utilized in the channel of helpline, through text, social media, all these different social media platforms, chatbot, digital marketing, website, email. So any of the communication touch points that your company has today, it can be utilized in. And when it comes to the dynamic engine, our Pulse engine is then connected through APIs into your CRM or whatever touch points, if it's for payments, etc. And then it's with a secure link to the end user. And when it clicks on the link, it opens up this visual IVR and take self-care service with the customers. And we've seen an amazing results in real life when this is implemented. And the best thing is today, compared with a few years back, is that most phones today is a smartphone. Meaning, next slide, Akib, please, is that we can take advantage, even if we are doing it on a visual IVR, a web application, we can still take advantage of the functionalities in the customer's phone, like you do normally in an app. We can, for example, you can, if you're in a smartphone, you can sign. So for insurance companies or policies, etc., they can actually sign digitally and take care of it through the visual IVR. We have cases with insurance company, for example, when they do claim, instead of talking through the process, calling a call center, spending 20 minutes or 30 minutes, taking care of the claim response with the call attendant through voice only, where she's taking all your data and putting it in the computer and then needs to reconfirm it with you. All of this can be taken care of through the phone in the visual IVR. So for an example, you have a claim, you had a car accident, or so you need to upload photos or a police report, etc. You can do it straight right there from your mobile phone. We can utilize videos. So in the visual IVR, the videos can be addressed with audio and then steps how to do the process. In the same times, taking pictures, documentations, as well as, say, for example, you are stranded out in a car accident somewhere, out in the wilderness on the street, you don't know exactly where you are. Insurance company can actually pin locate you through the GPS in your phone, and they can actually call the police if you need police to come to your location. And in the same time, they, as an insurance company, knows exactly where the location of the accident took place, for example. And you can obviously download PDFs. So for example, you want to check your bank statements, or you want to have your insurance statements, or from your telecom, etc. So you can utilize all your existing technology in your smartphone, but without utilizing a normal app that takes a lot of space on your phone. That's why we call it app on demand, meaning that immediately send a link and you are in the app experience, but with a visual audio way of taking care of your issues. Please, I get to next slide. So we see benefits in the way this can be utilized because it doesn't take away from the existing infrastructure in the company. Some companies has chatbots already. People has the IVR, they have the call center, or using third-party call centers. They have an application, they have their website. All what we're doing is we're adding a value to the existing platforms that you already have in your organization. This is the key. It's simple, it's very light, and it just needs to touch, connect with APIs, very light, in your existing infrastructure. If it's, for example, for taking payment, I believe there is a payment gateway called Doku in Indonesia. If you're utilizing them, for example, through their API, you can immediately taking payments through the visual IVR, these kind of ways. Or if you have others APIs for your CRM, to actually have immediately the information installed directly into your CRM backend through the visual IVR is a way of getting the best experience on the front end with RPA. And this is what we see as a benefit with our RPA Pulse platforms, is that we are focused building it from the customer's view of experience of getting served, and in the same time taking care of the technical aspects of implementation on any of the platform that is already there existing, meaning that any legacy platform out there or a new platform we can just add onto. So there is no need to change the whole infrastructure in the company. It's just adding very easily, plug and play, and be up and running within 4 to 6 weeks with any of the services or the platforms that I just talked about today. So we have a use case in telecom, for example. If Akib can change here, I will show you quickly. So for example, in the right-hand side corner, you see the flow of how the visual IVR works. Okay. Obviously, it's going to look beautiful. It's going to have pictures. It's going to have the components of your company, like you have on a website, but just to very easy be able to explain the different functionalities. So in this case here, as you can see, we have my account, special deals, self-serve, and minimal, for example. But obviously, you can always talk directly to the call center, a live attendant, if you need to, anytime in the whole process. So it can solve many of the different issues. So for example, you click on my account, I want to have an account history, my last transactions, and so on. There, connecting easily with the API of your organization, you can then choose what kind of information you want to give to this specific setup, because it's customized exactly for your operation. This is just a sample how the flow can be in this scenario. So for example, my account, I can then see the statements, I can see what I've done, and so forth. Another thing, special deals. For example, the telecom here in Malaysia, we have a very big immigrant communities, specifically from Bangladesh, Nepal, and so forth. And the biggest issue for the telecoms here in Malaysia, and I'm talking about all of them, is how can they market and make sure that the customer for a migrant community get the content and value-added services that is working for them. Because traditionally, it's here in Malaysia, it's always been targeted for the normal population, but many of the content and the information or in the language is not a very proficient way to upsell or make sure that the client stays with the telecom, because they don't cater to their need. So here, through the visual IVR, they can then see which way, if it's a customer from the normal Malay, or if it's a migrant or an international customer, the whole process of flow and information is then targeted exactly for their specific needs. In this case here, for example, you want to upsell for a data package. I want to buy a data package, or I want to buy a voice package, so on. They can immediately do this through the visual IVR. Same when it comes to, for example, minimal, I want to get a new router, I want to get a new phone, etc. Everything of that can be taken care of right there, but visually, either videos and an audio in the language of the user to self-care him through the process. So for example, I want to look at a new phone. I click on the phone. The voice will then talk you through the different specification of that specific phone to upsell the clients, in this case for the telecom. Or there is some issues that they would like to take care of. I have some problem with my connectivity, or I want to check everything of these specific parts is in this visual IVR, meaning that I go from one step to next step to third step to solve the issue, but visually and audibly guided to minimize the time spent for the client and make sure that his customer need is taken care of immediately. That is very difficult in a call center way, and where people is talking back to you, but if you don't visually can see what we are talking about, sometimes it can be confusing. Next slide. So summing it up. Oh, wait. Yeah. So let me go actually back one slide, okay, because I'm missing one slide for core benefits, but it's okay. We go into a case study in an ISP that has growth potential. The last year has been exceptional. It has tripled 3 times since November last year. And some other issue because you're growing, and as you can see in Indonesia, there has been a lot of growth with a lot of companies in the e-commerce sector, for example, or the Gojek, Grab, Tokopedia, and other companies, right? They have gone from very low numbers to exceptional numbers very quickly. And one of the problems that always happen in this great growth is the customer care. It's easy to sell, but aftercare is always where it lacks most of the time. So in this case, with the ISP Carnival in Bangladesh, they saw through this a lot of way to solve the issue through the having the visual IVR. One of them is the reduction in abandoned calls. What I mean with abandoned calls is that, for example, you call into the call center because you arrive at home at 7 o'clock, peak hours at home. Everybody is calling at the same time to the call center, meaning that normally in a call center, between 20 to 30% of the calls are not catered for the customer, so he hangs up because he can either not get through or he is put in wait. So their implementation of the visual IVR solved many of their issues. 97% in reduction of abandoned calls. Why? Because immediately when you call into the call center, we recognize where you call from. If it's a landline or if it's a mobile phone, if it's a mobile phone, we capture and immediately sends a link back to the client and says in the call center, we have now sent you a link where you can actually visually and audibly taking care of your self-care of the issue. We saw 27% they saw in reduction of the inbound calls to the call center because the same link they utilized for the same problem, they can immediately again utilize for self-care. The adoption rate by customer was up actually 54%, meaning that less calls to the call center and they can self-care them for the normal problems that they have on an ongoing basis that they occur with. And the saving was phenomenal in this sense because it reduces the cost of the call center operation. and the heavy load on taking the technicians from the way of solving issues where they can actually immediately take care of them. And to be honest, in this case, they also implemented a proactive way of taking care of the customers when it comes to internet issues. What I mean with that is, for an example, in every knock of an ISP, you can see actually what's going on in the internet in real time. So they can actually see when bottlenecks comes up. So instead of having customer calling and afterwards into the call center complaining about the internet speed, they actually proactively send a notification to the customer. I believe that within the next hour, there's going to be some issues with the internet. Please give us the 2 hours and the issue will be solved, for an example. If it's not solved, please take care of us. So by communicating with the customer, they actually increase their brand value and their brand customer care value exceptionally, because the customer feels that he's taken care of, even without having to do that themselves. So in this case with Carnival, one of the 4 biggest problems that issues that takes place is that they have problems with the internet, or there is a connectivity issue, etc. So we planned together with Carnival. We looked at the most common issues. We put into the, as you can see here in the UX, you can see exactly 4 different components on the left side of the left screen. What happens is when you open the link that gets to your phone, you click on the link, this appears at in the screen of the user with a voice, in this case a woman, because we have seen that women's voice normally is more soothing than a man's voice when it comes to taking care of the problems. She then walks you through, hi, welcome to Carnival, in this case. How can I help you today? Do you have problems with your internet? Please click the yellow link. If you have problems with problem number 2, click the red link. If you want to upgrade or change your package, please click the blue link, etc. So as soon as you click on the blue link, for an example, immediately the different new packages comes up, and then she walks you through, great choice. For an example, I see that you like to change your plan. What kind of plan are you interested in? 50 megabyte speed, 100 megabyte speed, internet speed, etc. And then the customer, okay, I like this popular feature, excellent. And then immediately go to take care and upsell or cross-sell or taking care of the issue through a visual audio guided way. And we've seen case by cases that this is actually using old technology, IVR, voice, and bundle it with a new technology and RPA, reducing the cost for the operator, reducing the customer load of complaints, and utilizing self-care to make the customer happier, because now 24/7 he can take care of the problem. One of the issues we had, for example, in India, you don't have this problem in Indonesia, but in India there is a lot of languages, and normally in a call center you have to take care of 15 different languages. So having a call center operation in India is very costly, so their operating hours is not very long most of the time. They are during certain hours, because you cannot have 15 different language skills operating 24/7. So through the visual IVR, you can then, first time you enter the touch point with the visual IVR, you choose your language. Automatically, everything you do from there on is in your native language. The communication, the speech, the voice, the text, everything is your native language to take you through to solve your issues. Please, next slide. Thank you. Great. So summing it up, I don't want to continue because I don't want to bore you too much. So the 2080 rules, this is what we see. Every call center has the same kind of scenario, we believe. 20% of the processes that accounts for 80% of all the calls coming in to the call center. By automating them through the process automation, you leave the customer care to take care of the more complex issues that needs the human touch all the time. But most of the repetitive customer care issues is very simple if they visually can be guided through the process. For an example, say a logistics company in Indonesia. You call the call center many times if your package hasn't arrived at the day or time, for example. You call the call center, where is my package? Then again, it doesn't show up. You call again and again and again. Each time waiting in the call center, because during peak hours, they're going to be busy. You're waiting a few minutes, then going through the same process, giving the same information and data to the call attendant, verify the information, and then getting the same response that they read out of the screen from the call center that you easily can have done through the same link that you utilize once, can be done that you can immediately get the update from the same link that was sent to you once. It's one of the issues. And the same things can be in all the different industries utilizations. The high abundant calls, the self-service guide. Imagine you call into the IVR and sorry, there is at the moment a wait for 5 minutes. But if you click one, we will send you a link where you visually can take care of your problem. We will guide you through, and then at once you're going to be able to solve your issue. In this case, we see 50% of the callers through the self-service menu, either the first time or the second time they call, is utilizing this channel, and the cost for the call center is reduced in half. We believe in most of the cases we have this opportunity to install this because of the cost of taking care of every customer, depending, even if it's a small issue, it maybe takes many minutes, even longer time for a call attendant to spend the time, verify the information, and then looking into the matter to solve the issue. That's very costly. And again and again, repetitive information that actually can be taken care of directly with the visual IVR. I'm sorry, I'm focused a lot on the visual IVR, but that is an RPA that we see has a lot of benefits for most of the operations in Indonesia and in the Southeast Asia region, because specifically here in Indonesia and Malaysia and Thailand and in India, even if companies has an app, the amount of calls coming into the call center to solve an issue is still very, very high. So therefore, we see the visual IVR has a big opportunity in any kind of operations today. And obviously of our referral engine and what we call the platform for Boomcast, where you can actually take care of reminders with the customers visually, guided through and audibly to take care of payments, to take care of surveys. We did actually a survey in Indonesia with a management company where we utilized this platform, and we got a response rate of 52% out of 1,000 respondents. So we believe there is a lot of opportunities in this field, and it's just the right implementation and making sure that the customer always comes first in the way of implementing the products. Ardi, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ola. So we are open for questions from the the participants here who would like to ask more about this robotic process automation. But starting from me, I can ask some questions to you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Can it be used for over our existing solution?
Yeah, this is the key. What we see when we have when we planned, when we started to develop this a few years back, is that whatever is out there today, the most important is not to interfere or to change or to take away of existing platforms, because everybody has spent a lot of time, money, and it's very useful, still the same technology that is in place. What the only thing we do is enhance it with value added by easily adding on with APIs or very lean, very light communication to communicate with the existing platform you have today.
So, for example, if we run a contact center,
yeah,
how do you integrate with us or
so
with
normally,
the call center of customer?
Yeah, so normally with the call center customer, in this case, they have a PBX IVR solution in place, and they can be any of the big brands or it can be a local supplier. So what we do there is actually we do a SIP into the existing PBX, just utilizing one of the numbers that you already have. Say, for example, press 2 to go to self-service, and from there, with that number, we communicate with our servers to implement. So we do not change anything of your existing infrastructure, in a very simple way of explaining.
Does it need any hardware?
No, it's obviously, if you are a bank or you're an insurance company and the regulations change most of the time, we have seen in the Asian countries that all national carriers now has to have their information stored locally, cannot be stored internationally. In this case, specifically with banks and insurance company, we will do on-premises installation, but it's not necessary. We do cloud-based, so it's just plug and play through API, and therefore we can do a very complex installation on a big company with less than 6 weeks, including the strategy, the implementation, the workflow to go live.
Okay,
this is an advantage.
Okay, as far as we know that you've been operating in some ASEAN countries,
Yes.
like Malaysia.
Yes. One of the we work with most of the telecoms here. For example, is one our biggest brands we work with. One of them are Telenor Group, Axiata Group, Maxis, and U-Mobile. And we are actually now starting to phasing in with Yes Telecom as well. But with Telenor Group, we have a lot of experience. We are already integrated with their group and Axiata. So all their platforms for communication-wise today, our organization takes care of about 50 million transactions on a daily basis. So we have a lot of good experience and knowledge how to utilize on scale quickly and very proficiently any things when it comes to touch points, communication, and integration on any kind of legacy platform that is out there.
So how effective is it?
Some of them, like, say for example, yeah, sure. In Malaysia, for example, we got all the carriers taking our product when it comes to cater to the migrant community. Why? Because they do not understand, they don't understand the content, they don't know how to market or how to communicate with somebody in a different language and what are the needs for content and value-added services. Because for them, a migrant community player spends much more on value-added services in the country than a local RPRU for a customer. So their spending power is actually higher for the telecoms, but they have very hard time to communicate with them because they don't understand them and they don't know how to differentiate them from their existing, because they all on prepaid. So through our platforms, they are able to do this transition and take the opportunity to cater to them and increase their customer value per transaction with this specific vertical in their organization. In Indonesia, for example, I think we did this survey with one of these companies where we had a very good impact by only using the platform of broadcasting, but visually and in the same audibly with a call, and then same time sending a link to the customer to self-care him through only a Google survey application, but the response was 52% out of the 1,000 respondents. That is quite good for utilizing very simple technology. Same time, we're doing, I think,
and
yeah. Please.
And were you using the Pulse broadcast or Pulse visual IVR for that project?
For that specific product, just the broadcast. And then and another one we are working with, I cannot disclose the name here, I believe, but it's with a finance insurance player in Indonesia, where they're utilizing the same broadcast for debt collection.
I see. Using like a robotic voice, right?
Robotic voice, but in the same time also can self-care the customer immediately to take care of the payment, etc., through the link.
Okay. Next question from me. Is it expensive?
No, it's no capex. The only thing that is cost in the beginning is the setup, because we have to spend a lot of time with the customer because it's customized all the parts of the communication, the look, the feel with the client, and to integrate his functionalities through an APIs into the communication platform.
I see. Oh, we already have some questions from the audience.
Sure.
From John Abraham. Typically, how much cost saving you can do for every call answered by your system? After installing Pulse, our agents will still need to be in duty?
Yes, of course. But you can now reduce the cost and have a 24/7 operation through the self-care. What we have seen normally, the cost per client interaction to take care drops between 40 to 60%. Why? Because we are now taking off the IVR and the self-care, the callers, for having a call attendant to go on a web application where he self-care, where there is no cost for the call center to take care of the issue.
Okay, I see. Okay. I hope that answers.
There was another question as well. How long does it take to... What was the second question?
After installing Pulse, our agents will still need to be in duty?
Yes, of course. Because there's always the element of the human touch and care that you need to have in a call center. Mostly for the more complex issues where you really need that engagement.
Okay. Okay. Next question from Fabrician. How do you know that IVR will provide customer experience? Since IVR is a stagnant program compared to the smart chatbot based on AI, which understand context, intent, etc.
Yes, it understands some issues, but in some case, when, for example, I have a good case. I've been shopping on Lazada a lot these couple of months when I've been in lockdown at home because I made an office at home. So many of the times, for example, it happens last week 3 times. the courier that they use a lot of different couriers. They, for an example, gave the item to the wrong person, or I had a damaged goods and I would like to, I told the driver, no, I'm not going to accept this one because it's damaged. You can take it back. But in Lazada's platform is no way that you can, through the chatbot or the communication tool, solve this issue of telling the customer or telling the customer care of Lazada through the chatbot that I have this issue and I can solve it. Then very many times after a lot of impressions, I can find a phone number, and in the end, I still have to call the call center, from my experience in this sense. So there was a follow-up on that question or no?
No.
Chatbot works very well in some areas, cross-sell, cross-marketing, some statistics, basic questions for self-care utilization. Of course, it works very good in that case. But a visual IVR, where you have specific cases of repeatedness, where somebody talks you through the issue and visually you see it, has a very high customer care satisfaction.
Okay. Hope that answers. And next question from Muntasir Ahmed. How can the solution assist in lead generation and responding to account information related tasks for a financial institution?
In the sense for lead generation or for?
Yes, I think for can it assist lead generation and responding to?
Yeah, we have some experience. For example, we did a case. We have in the Pulse, we have something called referral program. So, for example, in this case, BBC from UK, they did in one of our countries, they did a referral program because they want their English education platform to have more visibility and more customers. So they did a referral program through through our platform Pulse. We call referral program. So what happened is they set it out. They were on YouTube, they were on Facebook, they were buying advertisement on Google Ads, and then they used the referral engine of existing customers that are happy to refer for getting something. In this case, for them, there was you're going to get discount on your next session for. Or you're getting a cash benefit, etc. But they utilize this through the normal trends of the normal social media platforms. And at the same time, they also utilize different kind of characters, KOLs, or how do you say, influencers, to push or market their products. Meaning that an influencer that has a good reputation in this market, we're putting this referral program out, say, hey, I just had my first session with BBC to learn better English, for example, and he pushed it through his network. And the response rate through the referral, through the influencer, was very, very high compared to the cost of doing it and the response rate from a normal digital marketing point of view. So they decided we're not going to utilize YouTube, etc., anymore. We're just going to post in our YouTube channel all the different content, and we let the influencer push the content through the network because the response rate and the active user that they gained from that was so much higher. So there is one way of lead generation that we see is very, very effective, because it comes from a trusted source to me in a way that I have experienced it, and I'm actually sharing it with you.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Next question. Where did
I can actually tell you also another issue we have that we do actually through this to get lead generation, because we had that talk with Nespresso this morning here in Malaysia, but we also have another client, Clorox. And the problem they had during now the lockdown here in Malaysia was that they cannot do sampling in the supermarkets. Meaning the touch points where they sell all the products, they cannot do engagement with the customers. So they were thinking, how are we going to take care of this? So what they do is that anybody that buys a product or something from Clorox or in their own customer base, they will get a link. Hey, if you utilize this link, you then will get a 10% discount and a free sample. Fill out your information. So they get the information data from the customer, they send a sample to the customer, and in the same time, through the referral engine, they say, listen, if you bring on board 5 other customers, we're going to give you another part of the Clorox family. If you go to the supermarket within the next 5 days to purchase this, we will give you 50% discounts, etc., etc. So they would utilizing this way to get generation lead that they cannot do anymore in the supermarket. But the best part is they know everything about the user, how it behaves, who his friends are, and how they can engage with the friends through this referral engine, where you as a referral also have that 360 view, where you can see exactly what you have done, how much you have earned, etc., etc. So it's very good way of lead generation, but it needs a very good implementation plan, of course, to start it off.
Okay, next question. How long does it take to implement this solution?
Yeah, we work very fast, but when I say we work very fast, it also means that the customer has to work very fast with us, because when you integrate with the APIs, you need to have the technical team from our customer with our technical team. We need to have an engagement with the marketing team, because the content that you're going to add on to the platform has to be planned and delivered from the client side, but we will then make it into exactly how the client wants. So there is an engagement, interactivity there. But for us, if the client plays balls and are fast as us, it will not take longer than 6 weeks. But normally between 4 to 6 weeks from the time we start the engagement to the time to go live.
Okay. There is a follow-up question from John Abraham. Do you do the post design along with your client?
Yes.
Or you work in a specific format or design and the client needs to adjust to your format?
We look at your problem or your needs. From there, we work how it's going to be the flow in your platform. This is very important. That's why it takes 4 to 6 weeks, because we are not selling something off the shelf that we say that, oh, it's going to work for everybody. We need to see where your pain points are. And from that pain points, we then design the flow with you to get the best impact for your operation. Very important.
Okay. Another question from Syed Saddam Hussein. Hi, we're planning on developing an app. Does this solution work like an app or a website? Please mention the differentiating facts.
Okay. There's 3 things here. If you're going to develop an application, that means there's an application you're going to do, I believe it's in Google Store and Android and an iOS application. That means for us, we've seen it with many clients. If you have the budget and you have the marketing strategy and you have the power to get it viral, and get the downloads that is needed to have an impact, yes, then it's the best strategy. A web application and normal web application as well can be, depending on in which kind of industry or business you're going to deal with. If you are a travel tourism tour operator, a web application is sufficient enough. Tokopedia and trip.com and all of them, they are very successful in the sense because they have a lot of information what's needed for travelers to do everything very quickly, and to get because calling the travel agency or getting them online, say I'm going to travel this date and so on, okay, I come back to you, they call you back, they say, hey, sorry, that flight is booked, can you think about something else? So that process from a web application works very well when you're utilizing it on a daily basis. Grab, Gojek, Tokopedia, all the e-commerce sites, banks, where you utilize an application on a daily basis is the best. I mean, there is nothing else, because you get all the user data and the interactivity. But if it's an application to take care of an issue or a problem once or twice or 10 times on a yearly or monthly basis, I don't think the application of a normal app is very useful, because it's costly to update and continue updates, since Google and Apple is changing the rules. So you need to upgrade. When they do upgrades, you need to upgrade your applications as well. And if people are not utilizing them, that means that within 3 to 4 months, it's going to get off the phone of the user if he doesn't see that it's of need or any benefit from it. So depending on the issue, because insurance company, many times, if you're a car insurance company and you have an application to see how you drive, yes, the application is very good to have on your phone all the time. But if you're selling life insurance or a traditional insurance, when you're a car insurance, if you don't have an IoT application, I don't think people will have that application on the phone very long, because I'm using it once when I pay my bill annually or when I have a claim. Then I can instead call the call center or do a self-care. A web application or an application or a website, it's all depending on what you are targeting. In our case, the self-care has to be very simple, it has to be very direct and take care of the problem. A normal web application or a website has a lot of information. You go to a telecom's website, you have a lot of information and different links to do different things. It doesn't take care of you to take care of your issue right there and then. So depending on what you're looking at, what you're targeting, what is your aim in this case, depends on what you should develop or not develop. Obviously, if you have a broad marketing that you need to have all the components, obviously all the components has to be in the mix.
Okay. Next question. Let's go to the question from YouTube. From Hendrian Kencana Jaya. RPA is not new in many countries. Hence, why is it very few adoption in market like Indonesia? It seems to be straightforward value from efficiency. Do you think many IT team provide RPA internally?
Yes, I think many of the companies is focusing on doing their own developments. That comes with benefits and comes with non-benefits in the sense, because if you're building something that is not proven, it can take a lot of time, can take a lot of effort. In the end, maybe it's not very useful in the sense for your operation, or it can be a hit because you can, depending on how you understand your own organization, if you have a very good tech team, yes, it can be very good. But why in Asia? I don't think so. I think RPA has been here for a while. It started with chatbots. I think when I went for a telecommunication seminar in 2016, that's when the chatbot issues came up in the marketplace, I think. the first stages, and then 2017-18 it started to evolve, but it was very simple in the beginning, and then they saw the RPA in other parts, how you can integrate it, and it has evolved a lot. I think maybe the implementation is because smartphones has not been as advanced in the sense of user base now in Indonesia. Most everyone has a smartphone or 2 smartphones, or a phone has been more developed, so you can actually utilize all these kind of technologies. I mean, 5 years ago that was not the case, so maybe that's one of the reasons.
Okay. Okay. Next question from Muntasir Ahmed. How secured is the system?
Well, we are implemented in telecom. In most telecoms, our integrations are platforms, so it's of the highest security. The hosting, or if it's on-site hosting, or if it's in cloud. Obviously, if we host in Indonesia, then depends on the local hosting company that is utilized. If you're utilizing it yourself or you're utilizing one of the big players, obviously it's secured. The credibility of the API and the way it's communicated, it's of the highest standard, because we are working with banks and insurance company where the platform has to be certified on the highest when it comes to security issues.
Okay. Next question from Sindarta Gemilang. Any login portal so customer can log in to try or experience?
Yes, I suggest what we can do is, if you allowed, Ardi, if you guys send your either your WhatsApp or email to Ardi, we will send it.
I can just send the link here on the.
Perfect.
Hold on.
Where you can actually experience it as a demo, how it works on your own phone.
Okay. Well, I already posted the link for people to try. Yep. So next question, what are the ways to connect with Dotlines or Prasetia to discuss further?
Yeah, we have done what we have done with Prasetia is they are our team, or we are their team in Indonesia, meaning that whatever Ardi, his team Prasetia, is actually our go-to people in Indonesia. They have been trained, they have all the experience, and I believe many times it's easier in the local language. And technically, we are behind 100% to 365 days, 24/7, with our development centers both here in Malaysia, in Singapore, and in Dhaka, in Bangladesh, where we have a 700-strong team. So we will always be there in the back end, but for communication and direct, I suggest Prasetia directly in Indonesia.
Okay, this is more like a comment and a question from Kelvin So. Your solution sounds very practical. We are a bank. This is a cloud-based solution. Do you host in any specific country or inside our company, if needed?
Yes. Whatever your need is what we're going to do, because that's the regulations for the banking industry. So if it's in your hosting, in your premises, or in a strictly guided center in Indonesia that you're utilizing today, that's where it's going to be hosted. All the data belongs and only stored with you, not with us. We are just the communication between the platform and your CRM and your functionalities. Very important.
Okay. Another comment from Sindarta Gemilang. Do you mind to share your data sheet? Thank you. And he said, thank you for the link.
Not at all. We will send you, we can post somewhere, maybe, Ardi?
The data sheet?
in the sense of actually the presentation, a little bit about our information about the different components, I believe, Pulse.
Okay. I'll just hold on. Maybe Akib, can you share something here? Or maybe we can share to the audience later by email after the.
Yeah, we will send you a presentation of each of the different, because I was mostly focused on the visual IVR and the referral engine, the broadcast that works very good with the financial institutions. So we will then send everything that you need to whoever needs it.
Yeah, just send me a direct message here on Zoom and leave a email so that we can contact you after the event.
Or otherwise, I think what we can do is that for everyone who hasn't registered via Goverse, I just sent a link in the chat box so that we can capture your email address so that we can send you a follow-up email right after the session.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I guess there is no more. Oh, another comment from Kelvin. So I think referral is also a very good platform. How can we know about this more? Do you have any session? Do you have any session later, or do you want to go about it? We have a bit more time here now. Ola.
Yeah, we can, or if you like, we can set up another session specifically for that, because it's more targeted for the marketing specific audience.
I see. Okay. Yeah, we'll do that later time. So we'll invite.
Maybe in a week or two.
Yes.
Next week or the week after.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so, because it's many components that is of high impact that needs to be explained to get the full benefit.
So can you explain a bit of Indonesian market? What is the top industry that needs this solution?
We see it a little bit different in the sense of, say, for example, very big difference with, for example, an ISP, what I'm call ISP, an internet service provider that gives you the internet at home, right? In Indonesia, the market is very different than the rest of the region. For example, in Malaysia, 2 years contract of your internet service provider. If you try to break the contract, you're in trouble. If you go Thailand, the same issues. But in Indonesia, the biggest problem an ISP has, that they have to spend a lot of time and money on sustaining the customer. Because normally, if you're not happy after 3 months, I say, forget it, I'm going to go with another supplier because you didn't give me a good service or solution. So many of the times, how are you going to fight these issues, specifically in this industry? And I believe it's through bundling and giving a better service to the customer is the way of actually be different than the rest of the players. And how do you do that? Through digital automation, make sure the customer is always happy with your service in the sense, because that's how we see that part. And we see in many in the industries, for example, where we have a lot of interest is the telecom sector, the banking sector, and the insurance sector. Fast consumer goods like Indo food and this, we haven't approached in Indonesia yet, but that's something we would like to see, because we see a lot of brands, and a lot of brands needs to have a lot of communication and activities. And now with the lockdowns, there has to be a different way actually to approach and engage with the customers. But specifically in the banking industry and collection industry, specifically in the finance industry, by automating a lot of processes, because we know from talking, specifically we talked to over 30 what do you call, finance and insurance companies in India, for an example, where they have to call the customers. Same we have heard in Indonesia. A lot of time is consumed by calling the customer and spending the time to try to engage with the customer to settle these issues. And these issues, I mean, 100% clearly can be automated to be more effective, but it has to be the right communication, because having a distress call, somebody is calling you is not the right approach. It has to be made in a way that not only calling, but also making the opportunity for the customer to self-care, in the sense of, do I want to pay now? Do I want to pay within the right date? Or do I want to be bona fide if I pay early, to be able to collect much better percentage-wise for banks or finance institutions, etc. So everything has to do with the communication and how the RPA can be automated in the right way, with the right communication and the right message, to be the most impact. Because you can automate everything, but in the case of, if the automation is just there to automate and doesn't have the clear vision and the message and the impact, then why do it?
Ardi, I think you're on mute.
My bad. Sorry. I think that's it from me. I don't have any more question for you. If there's no more question from the audience, I think we will just end the webinar. Thank you, Ola.
Thank you, and thank you everybody to giving a lot of good questions and listening 1 hour on me. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing about the Pulse product, especially the visual IVR. And before we end this webinar today, I would like to share with you a bit about our partners' products. So we have 2 partners today. First is VB Cloud, and second one is Synchro. So Natasha, can you play the
video? Sounds good.
Yes, please. Natasha, can you share with sound? Share the screen with sound.
Let me do it one second.
Every second, anywhere, we are in contact with data, from the simplest to the most complex data. Data nowadays is the world's #1 raw material. Both individuals and big companies must deal with data. To use data and link up with different sources and recipients, we have to jump into the more elaborate process of distribution, consolidation, and integration. As more users and companies are drawn to utilize data, our lives literally revolve around the internet, constantly growing. big corporations, has multiple of thousands of users, making it difficult to obtain and process data, and sometimes insecure. Ideally, companies need to centralize their data, but centralized data cannot operate in 4 network conditions, while decentralized data in many locations makes it hard for the integration process. Plus, various factors and technologies, legacy systems, applications, data types, and user access rights from all the different locations. So, how do we simplify the process of data consolidation, distribution, and integration in these ecosystems without compromising the security and quality of your data? Enter Synchro. To simplify your life, we consolidate all data collection and join up all 5 data sources, players, and data API, web service, web application, files, and databases, and link them effortlessly in the easiest way possible without maintaining effort from both ends. Synchro's integration cuts short the process done by the API by letting you connect directly to your database with blazing fast deployment. Think traffic flow. Synchro can regulate traffic of data set at different stages, from encryption to the final display stage. As a data transporter, Synchro easily solves all the pain points of individuals in business. Smart recognizing databases from the simplest to the most advanced. All data is equal within Synchro's ecosystem. Simply by installing Synchro, we simplify and secure your data movement. We are here to help you deliver any data from anywhere to any target. With support of technology, dashboard, analytics, big data, and business intelligence, Synchro lets you access all important data companies with your fingertips. Trust us, it can all be done fast, scalable, and easy. Synchro, any data to any target. Every second.
Ardi, over to you.
Is there anything from Phoebe Cloud?
For VB Cloud, we have sure. Yeah, so a little bit introduction about VB Cloud. They started in 2014. And they are helping all the clients to manage their IT infrastructure on cloud. They are currently partnering with Microsoft, AWS, Alibaba, and Huawei, and Google Cloud Platform as well. So this is a little bit about them. There's a phone number there as well. But if you would like to get to know more about their service, you can share your interest in the chat box as well.
Okay, thank you, Natasha. So if any of you did not register through Goers, please leave your email on the chat box, or you can just send me a private message and we'll do a follow-up. And thank you again. Thank you, Ola. Thank you, everyone, for participating in today's event. And we will send for the one who registered through Goers, we will send you a follow-up email. And see you on next Wednesday. And stay tuned to goers.co/enterprise talk for next week's session.